Let's talk about branding for your MSP, why it's important, the right ways to do it, the wrong ways to do it, and we're even going to use a Fortune 500 branding guideline as a reference, as well as some other additional websites, just so you could really see what branding is. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs with sales training and marketing. So we've already covered the branding part of this video. Before I get into the rest of this video, as always, there's a masterclass down in the links below. And two, I don't know what you're waiting for. Join the free Discord. We are growing like a weed, and it is incredible to honestly see the growth, the community. We have so many little branches and areas that people are chatting, helping other MSPs out with. And heck, even I hang out in there sometimes. So you might even get a chance to hang out with me. So let's get into today's video. Branding. Branding is, while depending on what side you're actually looking at it, it could be mildly important. It could be very important. It just really depends. And I'm going to be covering all of that throughout this video. But you may be building a new MSP. You might even already have an established MSP, but you're sitting there looking at yourself and you're like, I don't know branding. It's okay. It's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of people that make branding seem like it's the greatest thing in the world. And there's a lot of people that make branding seem like it really doesn't matter. Most people are going to fall somewhere in between. It probably matters to a degree, but it's not the end all be all in the digital marketing world. So let's talk about brand consistency here. And I pulled up a couple websites, and I actually like a lot of the websites that I've pulled up for this aspect. Now, I'm going to be using Apple's identity guidelines in a little bit, but let's talk about some branding. So I pulled up a company called Nerds That Care. I actually genuinely believe that their branding is fantastic. They do a really, really good job. I know they invest tons and tons of money in branding. And overall, I mean, there's very much a common theme among the entire website, which is great. Same thing with TechMD. We've seen this before. I will say, from a branding aspect, these companies are fantastic. Frontline managed services, pros and cons of everybody's website, and that's okay. And then honestly, one of my favorites is ExoSource. I don't particularly understand the logo that they have, but hey, I like the branding that they've done. They have this green, these blacks. It's kind of punchy. And hey, how they execute is totally up to them and their marketing team. But let's talk about brand consistency. As I just flip through these websites, you can tell they have this nice vivid orange. There's orange throughout, right? We have tech people involved, cloud services, and you have even something like this where it says digital signage. I mean, it is pretty cool that you can see exactly what they're talking about. It just flows. The colors, the fonts, all of that just work well together. And then even if you scroll down a little bit more, you could kind of tell, well, yeah, there could probably be some updates to the thumbnails of these blogs. Overall, I mean, they do look fairly consistent. Lots of oranges, very techy. Probably still needs a little bit of work on branding goes. But overall, you know, they bought the nerd number. They have a great looking logo. It just looks super cohesive. Same thing with TechMD. You have these grays, you have this orange up here, and that gray and orange actually is consistent. That orange is to the left, that gray is on the right for all of their stuff. It looks super, super clean. Now, these companies have invested tens of thousands of dollars into this front line. Once again, these blues, these greens, and some off grays. Couple things I don't like, as I've mentioned in the past, this gray is super hard to read. You do have to worry about the ADA, American Disability Association, coming after you for that. But overall, I mean, the colors are good. The white space is good. I'm a big fan. And then ExoSource too. But the consistency is there. And you can kind of just tell as time goes on, you're going to be able to see and look at somebody's brand and say, wow, that looks really, really good. Now, currently, I have a Rockform case, totally unsponsored, but hey, it is the best case I've ever used for my phone. And I'll leave a link down below. But we all have, most of us have some kind of Apple or Android device, which is great. That's what we want. And I'm going to use Apple as far as branding consistency goes. I want to dive a little bit into this because I think when we think about as MSPs, what is really involved in it, right? They have Apple Sales Web they talk about Apple channel signatures, and this is what is called a branding guide or branding guidelines, and what is allowed versus what is not allowed. They actually even tell you how you have to display it: authorized reseller, or stacked on top of it, authorized reseller, certified trainer, how they want you to show their logo, right? 1-line signature, 2-line signature. And if you blow this up a little bit, you can actually see how they're doing it. Authorized reseller in the bottom left, and then authorized education agent on the bottom right. And as we progressively flip through this, there's actually things that you're not allowed to have. They want the all black signature if it's on a white background and the all white signature on a black background. And you can't have gray. It literally tells you, avoid these mistakes. Resellers can display their Apple provided authorization only in all black or all white. An Apple logo in gray is reserved for use by Apple and may appear on some channel assets provided by Apple. Never display your channel signature in gray. I mean, it is clearly defined how they want you to use this. Now, I'm telling you all this information, and you could go through and look at Apple stuff, but why does it actually matter for MSPs? Well, one, most MSPs don't even know what a branding guideline is. So now you've seen what it looks like. You can go to a branding expert. We are not branding experts, by the way. We do digital marketing, but we are not branding experts by any stretch of the imagination. We don't get involved in all this, but building out a really high quality branding package is a one-time investment for the most part. Maybe you're going to have to invest again down the road, but spending that kind of money, if you choose to, is definitely helpful. It just makes your brand appear and be cohesive. And when us being digital marketers, we love when a MSP comes up to us and wants to work with us and says, this is our branding guide. We can then take this information and create something that is super cohesive with whether it's landing pages, websites, digital assets, social media posts, whatever it is, whatever it may be. That's the beautiful part about actually having a branding package. Now, the consistency of the brand is super important, but it's all about how you actually present that brand. Presenting it just like we're looking here, why they have certain things. That super punchy, that cohesiveness really takes your website, your digital presence to the next level. Now, this is mainly going to be for MSPs that already have a budget for marketing or something of that nature. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't spend that much time worrying about it. But while you're doing this, while you're going through it, it actually shows your target customers that, hey, we take our company very seriously, from the text that we use to how it's laid out to the colors that we're getting into, and it helps build trust. I'm sure we all know what Best Buy looks like, or I've already covered Apple, but these big brands, no matter what, no matter how you see them, Best Buy has that nice deep blue. You look at Target, it's that red circle with it, which is obviously a Target, but that red, and everything across the board that they have follows that brand. It's the red carts. Toys R Us was another great example. It was that fun, friendly, funky looking stuff. I know some of you might not even know what Toys R Us is, and that's crazy to me. Blockbuster, same thing. But think about it. You have Whole Foods now, pretty much, at least nationwide in the United States. Look at how they brand every single thing. Or Starbucks. I'm just drinking coffee out of a mason jar today, but think about Starbucks. All of their branding, it's just dialed in. So when you look at these companies, you can go through and see, hey, it just looks like somebody took the time to match the colors, to have a branding guideline made. Now, you don't have to get crazy, but it'll even tell you how you should, the sizes that you're supposed to have it at. The typography, they even talk about you making sure you use Apple's version of text versus what they call it's an altered version of a text called MyRaid. This is important, right? They don't want to step and repeat or anything like that. They will show you exactly how they want it over and over and over throughout this entire piece. How you're allowed to have it, how you're not allowed to have it, how you're allowed to display it. This is a huge difference that most companies don't invest in. Now, once again, you don't have to go do this for your brand, but understanding, hey, I want my brand to pop. I want to be able to say, hey, if it's a black background, I want a white logo. And if it's a white background, I want our logo. Coming up with that. No drop shadows in certain things. This makes it pop. If you're not a designer, we're not really we design landing pages, but we don't design logos or anything like that. This is where it really comes into play, and it will help your brand pop. Getting that, if you choose to invest in it, go for it. Find a branding company that you really like and start to follow those guidelines. So let's talk about some challenges. We've covered quite a bit about branding, why it's good, why it's bad, why people show it, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about challenges. Number one, people have to read it. They have to follow this. If you have a branding guideline, it is a pain in the butt to work on everything, and then you find out that there is a branding guideline that you have to follow. I've had to follow it for companies. It can be a bummer. It's just, if they don't give it to us early enough where we get to read it front to back, left to right, it makes things very, very challenging. And in your branding guide, it's not just how you want your logo displayed. It's the text that you're using. It's the colors that you're allowed to use for your website. Just like we see inside of, I'll just use Frontline because I like their colors. You have this front line, this blue and green in the back. It almost looks like that logo is overlaid or underlaid back here. The colors are fluent throughout the entire process. So when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, this looks super, super cohesive. Even these blues all match. So as you go through it, it's nice and clean. We have black logos here with the blue on the left, black text, blue button. This looks a little under-resed, but that's okay. That nice blue color that they have from their logo pops up all over the place. The whole website isn't blue. It's not just too much. It's just enough, but it's enough with the accents to go through it. So one of the challenges is actually following your designated branding guide. Number 2 is not having a branding guide, having a vision for your stuff, and then not taking the steps of at least getting a basic designer branding company involved, or even maybe a college student to have them lay it out for you so it's nice and easy to follow. So those, believe it or not, are probably going to be the 2 largest challenges. I would say the third one is if you launch a new product, you want a new page, by going too quickly, skipping over what you think looks good, the branding, the colors, the fonts, all of that will be a bit of a hiccup. This video is very much for larger MSPs. If you're just starting out, keep this in mind as you go through the entire process. But you want something that looks clean, something that's concise, and while you're going through that process, start to look at other brands that you really like. It doesn't have to be another MSP. We're going through, Frontline Nerds That Care, TechMD, and then ExoSource right here. But you could look at anything. You can look at Pepsi's logo design. You can, or a branding guide. You can go on Google, start searching these big Fortune 500 companies. They all have branding guides, and go grab their branding guide. It will make a world of difference for you to keep things cohesive, especially if you're a DIY person. And it paints you a picture for when you are going to go get these things. If you have a branding guide or you love a certain brand, please comment down below. I'd be really interested in seeing what people are gravitating to, and tell me why you like it, because I think it's super interesting when I see a brand or company that maybe is not my cup of tea, but other people absolutely flock to it. I use one last one, Supreme. If you know the company, I don't understand their branding, but it works extremely, extremely well. Leave me a comment, please. I'd really appreciate it, just to see what you guys like. And if you find a MSP website that you're like, Harrison, you got to check out this website, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Love you guys. I'll see you guys later.